Serious new concerns and questions about the way our U.S. intelligence community handled Boston bombing suspect Tamerlan Tsarnaev and whether warnings were missed in the lead up to the deadly attacks because of a possible trust deficit with their counterparts in Russia. Bringing in Katie McFarland now. She's a Fox News nationalist security analyst. Good to see you, Katie.
Hi, Rafael.
Well, regardless of possible mistrust of the Russian government, Tamerlan left America to spend 6 months in Russia, got back into the U.S. after his name was put in a terrorist database. So it could possibly cause the average layperson to say, what are you guys doing? And is someone in the intelligence community covering tracks? How do you see it?
Well, Arthel, I absolutely agree with you. I mean, you know, the Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper, said, well, Tsarnaev was a low-level threat. Wait a minute. This is a guy who had espoused jihadist belief. He was a conspiracy theorist. He visited websites that talked about how to build bombs, Inspire magazine. He went to the hotbed place in the world for terrorists. And yet, somehow, he's a low-level threat? Well, what do you have to do to get some attention from the United States intelligence services? So I am not buying it. I think that it was a real failure of connecting the dots. One agency not talking to another agency. One agency saying, well, the Russians gave us the tip-off. We're not going to trust them. I think it really is a little late in the game to be making these kind of fundamental mistakes.
Director Clapper also said something, Katie, speaking at a conference for the Intel and National Security Community Friday. He says that if he finds it amusing and ironic that any credence suddenly is being given to Russia, and here's his direct quote, he says, you know, whenever the Russians say anything about arms control issues, we're very suspicious. You know, we're supposed to trust but verify, not accept what the Russians say. But in this case, we accept it, whatever they say, without question. So I ask you, how is Director Clapper's position playing out in the intelligence community?
Well, he's not called Clueless Clapper for nothing. Look, these guys sound like a bunch of fifth graders on the playground, everybody blaming everybody else. There was a screw up here. It's way too late in the game to have these kind of screw-ups. And Arthel, what bothers me even more than the fact that they never saw this guy coming was what happened last week when they had the younger brother in custody and they were interrogating him. They were asking him really specific questions, and they were getting good intelligence, according to the FBI. They were getting intelligence about things like New York is next. There's 6 more pressure cooker bombs left. And in the very early stages of their interrogation, what happens? The Justice Department sends somebody to the hospital room and shuts the interrogation down. You know, look, they didn't need to do that. There's a lot of information that we may never know about. I mean, wouldn't we like to know who else did you talk to? Is there a cell in the United States? You know, who is this mysterious man, Misha? What did your brother do when he went to Dagestan? All these questions, we don't know the answers to those now. So I fault the intelligence community for not connecting the dots and seeing him coming, and I fault the Justice Department to once they have the guy in custody, to not let that interrogation go on.
And KT, Director Clapper also said that finding the bombers in advance would require an invasion of Americans' privacy by the government. Could that be misconstrued as Director Clapper saying it was inadvertently Americans' fault that the Tsarnaev brothers slipped through the cracks?
Well, look, they're trying to blame everybody except themselves. The Tsarnaev, one of the brothers had a publicly accessed YouTube page. And on that YouTube page was a lot of stuff about, you know, jihadists who had made war, Islamic extremists and terrorists, and praising them. Anybody could access that. That wasn't snooping around to somebody's private information. And I've got to say, Arthel, in a day and age when if you go on your own personal when you're on your own computer and Google pops up ads knowing what you want to buy, when American political campaigns can figure out which subscription you're going to get to a magazine, how the United States Intelligence Service is not seeing these guys coming and not connecting the dots. You know, we're 10 years out from September 11th. The September 11th Commission report said that one of the biggest problems that led to September 11th was our intelligence communities and various parts of our intelligence apparatus wasn't talking to each other. We're making the same mistakes now, and it's late in the game because why? Arthel, what's happened is that the whole wave of terrorism has now changed. Who's doing terrorist activities? It's homegrown terrorists. Al-Qaeda.
And they're saying that it's hard to find the self-radicalized terrorists. Do you agree with that? And give me a short answer, unfortunately, because I've got to go.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's why it's really, we got to get our game a little better than this, because that is who's coming next, and we have to be able to see them.
KT McFarland, always appreciate your insight. Thank you very much,
Thanks,
KT. See you soon.